Hello, 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 Dave. Can you hear me? Hello down there. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's kind of odd to see the church from this angle, and I'm more used to being down there with the rest of you. Although it does mean to say I can see some cobwebs up here, so I must remember to get a broom when I get back and give that a bit of a clean. But sorry I can't be with you today. Well, actually, I'm not that sorry. It's 28 degrees outside here, so and I'm off to the beach later. Not so sorry. How's the weather with you over there, Dave? Yeah, yeah. Much better over here then obviously. Yeah. Um, so um, it is 6 o'clock in the morning though here where I am, so it's kind of a little early. So I've had to get up especially early to be able to do this for you. But yeah, great. Yeah, yeah. So shall I start the presentation? You said about 30 minutes, right? Not 30 minutes. That's too long. You want me to do the cut down version? Okay, all right. I'll do the cut down version. You're all right. Okay, so let me switch over to show you the slides. You should now be able to see the slides, I hope, and also still see and hear me. So let's start first with our income. You'll see our total income from the year was £179,000, and that's 11% up on the income that we received in 2017. So on behalf of the PCC, please can I say how grateful we are for your most generous support over this last year. Of that £179,000, 21,000 of that sum came from letting the church hall during the year. The pie chart then shows where the rest of our money came from. You'll see that the largest section of that, this large blue section here, just under £76,000, represents the money that was transferred to us via the bank. The second largest source of our income was from rebates from gift aid giving that came into the church, and you'll see that in the yellow section just here. That's just over £22,500. If you're able to make gift aid payments to the church, this makes a huge difference. Do speak to me or to Valerie. Please wave. Valerie, where are you? Over there? Yeah, please wave, Valerie. Thank you very much. If you want to know anything more about this, Valerie is our gift aid secretary, or speak to me and we can explain how this process works. But in effect, it means we get an extra 25 pence for every £1 that you give us, without costing you anything at all if you pay income tax. In effect, the income tax that you pay is given back to the church. This would obviously be great. If you don't already do this and are able and willing to do that, that would be marvellous. To set this up, it's a very easy process. There's a simple form that just needs completing to give us permission to collect that money back from the government. You'll find those forms on the table behind the back row in church. And if you could just fill that form out and either hand it to me or hand it to Valerie, that's all that's necessary. We'll do the rest. It's absolutely painless. We jump to the next slide then. This slide shows us how our general income has changed over the last few years. And you can see it's slightly down last year once we take out the hall income and a couple of other things that aren't really regular income. So that's the income side of the equation. Now let's have a look at the expenditure side. In this last year, we've spent just over £154,000. That, as it shows up in the top right-hand corner there, is 24% higher than it was last year. But it was actually just below the budget that we had set ourselves for the year. As you can see, the largest blue quadrant there is the amount we contribute to the diocese in parish share. This is money that we pass to them to pay for Dave and Peter. That includes their wages and other employment costs that the diocese has to pay, such as their pensions and their upkeep on their homes that they and their families live in. It's also a contribution that's made towards the cost of running the diocese, such as supporting the church schools, for example. We paid our full parish share that was asked of us in this last year. The second largest cost that we have now is the cost of the staff that we pay directly, including our great administrators, Helen as our children's worker, and Eddie as our youth minister. We also pay money to have the church buildings cleaned and to have a part-time caretaker, and that's the £22,000 that's listed there for that item. We give away 10% of our voluntary income each year, the giving slice on this pie chart, showing 7% of our overall general income. We also provide money to support local mission and evangelism that we are involved with, such as at the Octagon Centre, and new this year, providing support to set up the CAP Malvern Centre. Another key change this year compared to the position I highlighted last year, if you were here and remember, was that with new staff working directly with our children and young people, and the great new activities that they've been able to introduce to do with them, the money we spend on our children and young people's work is now 14% of all the money we spend. I hope you will agree that this is absolutely as it should be, increasing the money we invest in the lives of young people that God is bringing us into contact with in increasing variety of ways. This next slide then shows how our spending has risen over the last few years. Although do note the last couple of years also include spending on looking after the hall, which in previous years on this chart those numbers don't include. So some of that increase in the last couple of years is just associated with hall costs that we did bear in previous years but just weren't in those numbers. As I mentioned a few moments ago, this next slide now shows some further detail on who we gave money to from our tithe, excuse me, our tithe this last year. You'll see we have 5 groups that we give regularly to each month, representing a total this last year of £1,137 to each of those. We also gave away £2,645 to support various other one-offs or to support the costs of developing various church leaders who are linked to this church. And we've provided £5,000 during last year towards the setup costs of the new CAP Malvern Centre. Not listed on the general giving slide, but for your information too, as shown on this slide, out of the surplus that we generated last year, that's the difference between the income that we received and the spending, so how much our bank account rose over the year, which for us last year was just over £24,000. We've allocated another 5,000 of that sum as a initial gift to St Mary's, who, as I think many of you will know, are planning a substantial building project at the moment to develop their church to be better able to serve their immediate local community and the rest of Malvern. And while I'm talking about our surplus, you'll also see, as detailed here on this slide, that there was money that we used to get the hall floor fixed up, that's now looking so great, after so many years of having the blocks coming loose and potentially causing a health and safety hazard. That redevelopment work has been funded out of last year's surplus. We also plan to increase and upgrade our sound and visual equipment in the church over the next few months with some more of that surplus. So I hope this is all making sense to you. Let's jump to the next slide now, which shows the details of our budget for 2019, the year that we've now just started, obviously. You'll see that we have set a fairly conservative budget at this point, only slightly up on the budget that we set ourselves last year, that we didn't spend all of, as I mentioned to you a few moments ago. The key change this year is that we have agreed with the diocese to increase our parish share by just over £10,000. As we grow as a church, we're being better blessed to be able to be a blessing to others in the diocese. So it's right that we pay more into the pot for this purpose. As you know, not all churches are growing, sadly, and therefore are able to cover their rising costs. And because we are, it's reasonable and right, I hope you will agree, that we pay a little bit more towards those rising costs that others can't cover. This effectively was the outcome of the fairer share process that you recall we were operating across the diocese a few months ago. And as Dave mentioned in his Sowing Generously talk a few weeks ago, the diocese actually in fact asked us for an increase to pay £132,000. But after some negotiating, this has been lowered down this year to an £80,000 level that we've budgeted for. And as such, we probably should be considering whether, if our income exceeds our budget, whether we should be paying more to the diocese by the end of this year. We've also significantly increased the budget for our children and young people's work to better enable them to do more work in this area as the opportunities are arising. And we've also reviewed the money that we give to our mission partners, and we're looking to bring in some others as regular people that we support from the church. More on this in due course. That's I think the plan, isn't it, Dave? Yeah. Good. So that's the key details of the finances for last year. I hope that's given you a better view of how our finances are working out. As I conclude then, here is a list of the various people who are involved in the finance team, and I want to take opportunity to thank you all for the role that you have played in making the finances come together in the church to make them function smoothly this year. I've already mentioned Valerie. She looks after the envelope giving and the gift aid. Thank you very much, Valerie, for all the work you do there. Chris Hopes kindly deals with all the cash management and the banking for us each week. Thank you, Chris. Paul Lithgow is our independent reviewer. This is a massively important role to help Trish and I getting the accounts to balance at the year end. Thank you for the vital role that you play in doing this for us, Paul. You'll see I've missed somebody out from the list on purpose, and that's Trish. Are you there, Trish? Please give us a wave. Can I see you? Yeah, thanks. Trish has been our bookkeeper for the last 3 years, making sure that all the bills get paid in a timely fashion and so on. And this is absolutely vital work for the church, albeit often going unseen. She's now stepping down from that role after today's meeting, and so I wanted to take an opportunity to publicly thank her for all the work that she's done for the team and for us as a church over the last 3 years. She's been a great colleague to work with and will be sorely missed by the team. Please can you give her a rousing clap to say thank you very much for all of her help. Thank you. The good news is that this won't be left to me now to have to manage this all by myself. I was worried for a while, but actually we've had a great volunteer step forward to take on this important work for us. Marion, are you there? Can I see Marion? Can you give us a wave? Can you stand up, Marion, so that people will know who you are? That would be great. Thank you for taking on this new role, Marion. This is hugely appreciated. Thank you. So then, just as I finish, can I remind you of the various different ways, if you wish to, that you can give to the church. There are forms at the back of the church that you'll find that detail our bank account, sort code and account reference on, if you need that to be able to do direct bank transfers, whether that's a regular thing or just a one-off. Either is absolutely fine, of course, to use that method to transfer money to us directly. We're also happy to receive CAF or stewardship payments if you like to give that way. And of course, cash will continue to be welcome. You can place that on the plate each Sunday, and that gets added into the pot towards all of our costs, just the same as any other means. Just as an extra idea, some churches are now taking credit or debit card payments for gifts, so that you can use those to give online as well. If this might be a way that you would find useful to give through, can you let me know at some point? And if that's useful, I'll explore that as a possible way for us to do more giving in the future. So I hope this has given you all the details that you need about our finances for 2018. I'm sorry again that I can't be with you today, but I hope this presentation has given you what you need to understand how our finances were structured last year. And if I can help it with any particular questions over anything to do with the finance, please do get in touch with me when I get back, or to send me an email at some point if you prefer to do it that way. We're very happy to be completely open with all of our finances, happy to answer any questions that you wish to know. So just to conclude, there's a couple of procedural things that Dave, I hope you'll be able to sort out for me in my absence. Can we please note the independent reviewer's report confirming that the accounts, the full set of accounts that I've summarised for you today, are an accurate record of our financial position. Can we also note that the PCC has approved these accounts, which they have to do as a charity, and that the summary that I presented reflects the detail from those full accounts that you can find in the back of the church if you want a paper copy of those, or you can also see them on our website if you want to download them and look at them at some other point. We also need to formally approve Paul as our independent reviewer again for this coming year. After I conclude this, Dave, I hope you'll be able to sort that out so that we can formally get that approval. So thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you soon when we get back. And back to you, Dave. I'm off now to some water park to enjoy myself. So I will see you all when I get back.